Good day, fellow educators. We thank God for His unending blessings. Welcome to the fourth wave of free webinars of Asia Pacific Association of Educators Training Institute. Before we start, I would like to thank the CEO of IT, Dr. Raquel D. Bernabe, for giving me this opportunity to share this material. I'm Mr. Andy Amabe, a Master Tutor 2 at the Department of Education and a part-time faculty at the National University Manila, an APAETI member affiliate. And I want to remind everyone that only those registered participants in real time are only qualified to receive the certificate. And please subscribe APAETI YouTube channel and like or share the FB page. The discussion today focuses on the assessment of learning outcomes, implements and complements by using the ICT, identifying and explaining student learning outcomes at the different levels of the schooling, and utilizing a variety of assessment tools to determine if the desired learning outcomes have been achieved. So here's the terminal objective of this session. At the end of the session, the participants shall be able to develop IMs and online assessment with ICT integration to facilitate teaching and learning process. These are the enabling objectives. First, identify stages of ICT integration. Second, determine different ways and appropriate resources to integrate ICT in assessment. And lastly, develop IMs and assessment with ICT integration using SAMR model. There are different common terms used in assessment. Let's go back. What is all about assessment? Generally, assessment is seen as a process for gathering evidence and making judgment about students' needs, strengths, abilities, and achievements. So assessment is meant to monitor improvement of the students' learning. It's also to provide feedback about the students, to inform the future action of both learners and teachers, and to report students' achievement. Classroom assessment is an ongoing process of identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting information about what the learners know and can do. Now, what is the assessment for teachers? First, to provide feedback to our instruction and plan for future instruction. Next, it identifies learning difficulties of our pupils and to provide remediation. Next, assessment is needed for teachers in identifying and nurture students' potentials and interests. Lastly, to modify future of our teaching. Now, I know you know all those things. There are three types of assessment, right? The assessment of learning, assessment of learning, and assessment for learning. So what is all about assessment for learning? That is the formative assessment. For the assessment of learning, that is the summative assessment. And for the assessment as learning, that is the student reflection whether they are learning or not. Now, there are different kinds of learning targets. Number one, the knowledge, the facts and concept we want the students to know and understand. Next, the reasoning. Students use what they know to reason and solve problems. Skills. Students use their knowledge and reasoning to act skillfully. And the products, wherein students use their knowledge, reasoning, and skills to create something new. The dispositions, wherein students displays attitude about school and learning. Now, we all know that we teachers give marks to our students, right? What is all about marks? Marks are reports or results of evaluating information obtained in the assessment process. There are two kinds of assessment. First, authentic assessment and the traditional assessment. What do you mean about authentic assessment? It is a product and or performance correlated with real life experiences, while traditional assessment or paper and pencil test determine choice measure of assessment. This time, let's have a game. It's all about fact or a bluff. Do you know this game? I know you're all familiar with, right? Okay. So, instruction is kindly encode or type fact or a bluff in our chat box whether the picture signifies a fact or a bluff. This will be used in identifying whether the given statement signifies ICT integration or not. So are you all ready? So I repeat, you're going to encode or type fact or a bluff in our chat box. Number one, is it a fact or a bluff? Ready? What is the answer? Yes, that is a bluff. Later on, we're going to discuss all those things. Why is it a fact or a bluff? Next one. Number two. Is the picture depicts fact or a bluff? That's correct. It's a bluff, right? Next one. Number three. Is the picture signifies fact or a bluff? Yes, that's good. That is a fact, right? How about this picture? That is a bluff, all right? And the last picture, number five. What it's all about is that a fact or a bluff? Yes, that is a bluff. So I know you're all familiar with what it's all about, a fact or a bluff. All right? Now, my dear teachers, my dear educators, we need to experience IT or information technology. I know you're all familiar in the new normal because this is very important. Whether you are a modular, you will choose modular learning approach or the online learning modality, you need to experience or you need to use information technology. I know you have realizations while doing the activity, right? You gain knowledge and skills to possess relative to ICT integration, and I know you can rate yourself using the ICT. So shoot it, save it, share it, and think over. This time, we need to discuss the stages of ICT adoption, use, and integration. So there are four stages of ICT. The first one is the merging, wherein we become aware of the ICT. And there is a support work performance. The second is applying, wherein we learn to use ICT to teaching. And there is there is something to enhance traditional teaching. The third one is infusing, wherein we need to understand how and when to use by facilitating blended learning. And the last one is the transforming, wherein we need to specialize in using and designing ICT and create innovative learning environment. So in this stage, teachers just start to explore the possibilities and consequence of using ICT in teaching and learning process. For the beginning teachers, they should show skills in the positive use of ICT to facilitate the teaching and learning process. That is stipulated in the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, Domain 1, Strand 1.3. The teachers use ICT in various subjects areas with specific tools and software, such as drawing, designing, and modeling. Audio media is a tool to convey message to be delivered in the form of auditory symbols, verbal and nonverbal. Audio media for teaching is a material that contains a message in the form of auditory, which can stimulate the thoughts, feelings, concern, and willingness of the students to that teaching and learning occur. So audio media, teaching music literacy, for example, poetry readings and documentation activities, or foreign language teaching, whether it be audio or audiovisual, teaching through radio or educational radio. Kinds of audio media, radio education, audio type, recording, telephone compact disc, the visual media, what you see is what you get, right? Blackboard, stick figures, realia, and flashcards are the example of visual aids. Visual media, which means all the props used in the process of learning that can be enjoyed through the eye senses. Next, there are 8 kinds of visual media. The first is the images or photos. Next, sketch, diagram, graph, chart, cartoons, poster, map, globe, that is flannel board or the bulletin boards. So application of multimedia, the ability to combine text or images, sounds, animation, graphs, and video. So for the proficiency teacher, they need to ensure the positive use of ICT to facilitate the teaching and learning process. So according to the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, Domain 1, Strands 1.3.2. For the second stage, that is the infusing, the teachers use ICT to manage not only the learning of their students, but also their own learning. So the proficiency teachers should promote effective strategies in the positive use of ICT to facilitate the teaching and learning process. Now, for the fourth stage, the ICT becomes an integral part of daily activities in the teacher's professional lives. So the highly proficient teachers should mentor colleagues in the implementation of policies to ensure the positive use of ICT within or beyond the school. Now, we have here the SAMR model for the purposeful use of educational technology. So what is all about SAMR? It is a great framework for thinking about technology and how it can be used in a teaching environment to bring about transformational learning opportunities that wouldn't have been possible without technology. So SAMR means substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. For the substitution, technology acts as directive substitute with no functional change. At this level, there is no substantial gain from using technology and usually teacher-centric. For example, students are typing a piece of poetry rather than handwriting, right? So teachers often begin at the substitution level but should not feel pressured to use technology where there is no educational benefit. So for the augmentation, the second part, technology acts as a direct tool substitute with functional improvement. Here, there is a purposeful benefit and some tasks were designed. For example, students receive immediate feedback in spelling or mental arithmetic application. there is the level which teachers you should aim to begin with integration of technology. For the third level, that is the modification, technology allows for significant task redesign. So at this point, there is a functional change in the use of technology through breaking down the classroom barriers and engaging with a global audience or new learning experiences. So for example, to our students, might record a podcast. Do you know what a podcast is? With accompanying original music using GarageBand to shared online using SoundCloud. All right. So for the fourth level, that is the redefinition, wherein technology allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. This level of integration usually involves online collaboration, student-centered learning, and transform technological products. For example, students explore the galaxy using an app such as Star Walk and create digital space tour. So we teachers should not expect that all integration of technology will be at the level of redefinition, especially in the elementary level. We know their level, right? But for the junior and senior high school, especially in college, we know their level is higher, then they can create videos, right? However, it is important to plan for specific projects or lesson that is used to technology to push the boundaries of education. For example, in my class at National University, at the end of the semester, they need to have a video presentation. For example, for the BS Ed and BA Ed education, they are going to make an online teaching demonstration video. And for my elementary students in the Department of Education, they need to compile a pictures of them. For example, their lesson is all about the arts. Okay, there is a compilation of their work, and then they need to create a video. Okay, that is the definition wherein I will assess their work, their performance, and also their output. All right. Now, for the SAMR model, as we can see in the graph or the illustration, should I say, to enhance technology integration for the substitution and augmentation, that is for the enhancement of teachers, while the modification and the redefinition, that is for the transformation. So why is it that in the substitution, it is only an augmentation that is only an enhancement? For example, the technology acts as the students will use Google Earth instead of Atlas to locate a place. They are going to use their cell phone, right? Or their gadgets. While in the augmentation, they are going to use Google Earth rulers to measure the distance between two places instead of the traditional way, right? So for the modification to begin a transformation in learning, they need to use Google Earth layers such as Panoramio and 360 cities to research location. For the redefinition, they're going to create a narrated Google Earth guided tour and share this online, right? By using their social media accounts, because that is very familiar to our students right now. Okay. For example, in a mathematics class in the elementary or even in high school, for the substitution, they used an Excel worksheets to let the students color in the blocks, right? For example, the one half, one fourth, the students will color in the blocks. For the augmentation, they use Google Sheet to let the students color in the blocks where the teacher can offer feedback directly on Google Sheet. All right. The teacher will give direct comments and suggestion of the work of the students. For the modification part, still they will use the Google Sheet and the direct students to online examples and supplementary learning materials for areas that they might struggle with. They can research via Google or any learning virtual online platform to answer their work. For the redefinition part, they're going to use a fraction application instead of a traditional way for the paper and pencil test. Then they will upload their work and let the teacher assess the work of the students. All right, and the teacher will give the scores whether they got 100% or 10 out of 10 or 100 out of 100. All right. For the physical education class, for the substitution, the coach or the teacher videos the training exercise and uses this as the lesson. The teacher will use video presentation, downloaded video presentation, or PowerPoint presentation, all right, to teach the lesson. For the augmentation part, the coach teacher videos the training exercise and provide links. So this time, after presenting any video presentation, the teacher will give links for additional information about the lesson. For the modification part, sorry, they need to the teacher videos training exercise and flips the lesson. Do you know what is a flip classroom, right? So after the lesson, the students or the learners can access the materials, and then let the students watch it as homework and using class time to practice and reinforce techniques. So for the redefinition part, the students watch video examples and practice the techniques. Then the coach teacher videos them hitting balls and provides feedback about the technique. So now the learners will video themselves, then they're going to upload their videos, so the teacher will assess the work of the child and he or she will give points to the outputs of the learners. For the art painting class in the substitution, they use a digital drawing painting program like MS Paint. That is very common for us teachers, right? To draw paint a picture. For the augmentation part, we use a tool that allows the creation of the masterpiece to be played back, like educations and Photoshops. So it is in advanced level. All right, especially for high school or even in senior high school. For the modification part, it has a full background images to use a canvas. All right, you could even scan something hand drawn and use that. For the redefinition part, create artwork collaboratively using collaborative online whiteboard. We can use the Padlet to show their answer. They were going to submit the output of the learners, and you as a teacher should assess their work, okay, to a rubrics, all right, or a scoring sheet or tally sheet. So make it happen, right, my dear colleagues, my dear fellow educators. Make information technology happen inside in our classroom, even that is in a traditional classroom or in a virtual classroom. Now, here are the following technology app or tools in classroom assessment. All right, especially during the online or offline session. We can use this in recording, even in the modular learning modality. So the basic premise to people learn best when they are actively engaged, when they are interact, they will do the same activities, right? So that they will learn something about you. So how do we make the course more exciting, or how do we make the lesson more exciting, or how do we assess more exciting? First, it should be interesting, right? Next, it should be engaging. It should be fun, and it is effective. Not only efficient, but also effective. All right. Now let's go back to the Bloom taxonomy of learning, right? Can you still remember this one? I know you're all familiar with, because if you will assess your students, you're going to ask questions by using lower order thinking skills questions or the higher order thinking skills questions or the HATS questions, right? For the lower level thinking skills, we have the remembering, understanding, applying, and analyzing. While if you use higher order thinking skills, that is to evaluate and create. Generally, we generate new ideas, being innovative, viewing things in different ways. Now, today's students, especially our students, right? Even in elementary or in high school, and also as I've experienced in the college level, today's our students always engage in Facebook, right? They are disengaged while we are talking in front. Next, demotivated. Googling is thinking for them, but for us, we need to read books, right? We need to answer questions directly without Googling in our time. Sleeping in class. They are not interested. Okay? No time to study. Okay? Because they are playing ML or other online games. They have no patience to read, to write, to study their lessons, and we expect to reply in a nanoseconds, right? Because, for example, pag nagtanong ka nga sa mga bata natin, for example, sabi mo, maglabas nga po ng 1/4 sheet of pad paper. Sasabihin natin, okay, bring out 1/4 sheet of pad paper. Sasabihin ng estudyante natin, 1/4, sir? 1/4, ma'am? Right? Inuulit lang talaga nila. So, kailangan mahaba-haba yung pasensya natin. The first online assessment that we need to know is all about the Mentimeter. So, yung mga nakakaalam talaga dito, alam na nila kung paano siya gawin. But, pwede nyong i-visit yung website nito, then you need to sign up para makakreate kayo ng account para makikita nyo din kung paano gagamitin siya. Actually, I'm using this in my learners at the Department of Education and also to my college students. So, it's very interesting and engaging. Okay, yun nga lang, pupunta ka lang sa site and then magsa-sign up ka. Next. So, Mentimeter, meron dalawang uri yun. So, audience response tool and then yung account mo as a teacher. So, what is all about Mentimeter? It's a tool that lets you engage, interact with your audience in real time. That is for online assessment. You set the questions and your audience can give their output or input via mobile phone or any gadgets at any other internet connected device. So for the teachers, you need to type or browse the www.mentimeter.com, and for the students, www.menti.com. Okay? So, ito yung ibibigay mo doon. Ang estudyante mo, dadalaw sila sa www.menti.com. Hindi mo dapat ibibigay yung account mo na www.mentimeter.com. Alright? Kasi ma-access na nila yung mga ipapakis mo and then yung mga scores nila. Pero magpapakita din naman yung score. Kaya lang, lahat na nababasa nila doon. Alright? So, for the audience response tool, this is intended for your students. Ayan, uh, the learners or the students will go to www.mensi.com and use the code. Magpapakita kasi siya ng code after creating a quiz or a short evaluation. Magbibigay siya ng codes either for code. For example, 3655. Ganon. Then first, the learner should grab a gadget or specifically mobile phones kasi yun yung pinaka unang nagagamit ng mga bata natin ngayon. And then, they need to go to www.menti.com and enter the code to enter the class, alright? The online assessment class. So for example, they enter the code and then aansaran nila ito. For example, your question is all about enter 3 separate words that come to mind when you think about e-learning. So magpapakita sila, may magpipilian doon kung sasabihin mo ba doon, quiz ba siya, multiple choice ba siya, or in a narrative form, essay form, ganon. Ito yun ha. Parang e-clouds kasi ito. So ano yung mga sagot ng mga bata, nandun yung mga sagot nila nag-form as a cloud. Alright? Next one is Tarsha. Okay? Pwede itong gawin natin sa modular class natin or even in online class. Alright? So what is all about Tarsha? So Tarsha match the question with the answer correctly and assemble in a puzzle form. So maraming iba't ibang, there are different kinds of puzzle. So for example, the triangle pattern. The first group to assemble the puzzle wins the game. So you have your timer. Kahit in an online class ka or in a face-to-face classroom, you need to assess their performance, okay? Their ability to assemble the puzzle in the fastest way. Parang ganun yon. So, the learners will be given 15 minutes to complete it. Mas magala dito, you have your own timer, alright, or stopwatch, okay, to assess the work of the students. Not only for mathematics, but also in other subjects, just like English, science, or any other subjects. You can use this online assessment, or this assessment, should I say. Please do not confuse about it. Tarsier versus Tarsha. Okay? Kaysa yung mga estudyante ko din, minsan nalilito. Okay. Alright, let's play Tarsier, sir. Oh no, it's not Tarsier. It's Tarsha. Ganun. So, one example is the polygons or the octagon Tarsha. So, bubuin ng mga estudyante natin. Now, what is the purpose of this Tarsha? Okay? Ideas for it tends to remember ideas. What are the following assessment questions? All right, types of questions. The question and answer part, then the main events of the World War II, the main events of the story, grouping cells, body systems, and functions for science, and balancing chemical equations for chemistry subjects. No, just like a ladder then. Okay? So, it means to order and sequence ideas. Just like, for example, following a recipe, following a narrative plot, historical events for alaling panlipunan, a procedure for an experiment in science class. So here are the following examples of a Tarsha. We have the standard jigsaw, extended jigsaw, the domino, follow me cards, the rectangular cards, the matching rectangular cards, and the student discussion cards. For the standards jigsaw, makikita nyo doon, marami din siyang mga types. For example, the standard hexagonal jigsaw, yan, standard triangle jigsaw, and etc. So, makikita nyo po lahat yon yung example ng Tarsha na po natin. It's very interesting actually, yung pag-assess ng mga estudyante natin. Maghihiyawan sila, hindi magingay. For a 21st century classroom, swak po siya talaga siya. Okay? Next, what is all about Padlet? Ito yung free online tool. If you're actually engaging with your online class, a Padlet is best fit to show their answer. Just like Show Me Board, nandun yun, i-check mo siya. Alright? It is a free online tool. You can visit the Google to know more about Padlet. So, it is best described as an online notice board. Just like Show Me Board. Okay, online Show Me Board. Used by students and teachers to post notes in a common page. The teacher will post comments and suggestions to the work of the students. Pwede po siya, actually. Very engaging and interesting. The notes posted by teachers and students can contain the links, right? The video, images, and document files. Alright, you can upload there, then ma-access ng mga estudyante natin. Alright, so next, what are the skills to be possessed? Alright, they can manage themselves, right? Communicate themselves, being creative, management information and thinking, working with others, and staying well. Alright, so those are the skills that the students will gain. Okay, So here is the example of the Padlet wall. Ito po yung ginagamit ko actually to my elementary students and also to my college students. They can create their own Padlet wall and then I will visit their wall, then check their output. So pwede nilang i-design yon. They can change the color, the background, the font type, and the name. Okay? Next one. We have here the Plickers. It's very interesting also. It can be done through online and also in the face-to-face classroom or traditional classroom. Plickers is a powerfully simple tool that lets teachers collect real-time formative assessment data without the need for student devices. So the students, kahit wala silang gadgets, but the teacher will print the Plicker cards. Nandun yun, yung Plickers card natin. Ipapakita nila, then i-scan mo siya. Okay, mayroon yung ABC, just like this one. Alright? So how much do we know science and math? Or even in other subjects, we can use that. Okay? The teacher will scan the Plickers card that the students is showing. Alright? I-scan ni teacher yon kung nakatash yung A, B, C, or D. So, i-scan nila kung tama siya. So, magpapakita rin siya to the board, yung screen natin kung tama yung ginagamit ng bata. So, here is the Plickers card. Okay, in your screen, yung A, B, C, D. Yan, magpapakita sa screen natin kung tama yung sagot ng estudyante natin or hindi. Okay? Next one. So next is all about the Kahoot, alright? It's very interesting and engaging. You know, pagka ginamit ko ito sa mga estudyante ko, especially if you will be having your online class. Actually, at National University right now, we are having our online classes. So ginagamit ko siya actually during our synchronous discussion or synchronous session. So ito, Kahoot, maglalagin din yung mga estudyante mo, gagawa ka ng mga questions mo, and then magbibigay ka ng code. So here are the pros of this application or yung game app na to. So tons of fun, game show, atmosphere. Ito, to review this or etc. Next one, top 5 students can see their names on the screen. So pwede silang maglagay po ng mga pangalan nila doon, makikita nila yung mga sinasabi nila doon. Lots of students to one device. Pwede siyang in a group manner and also in a individual activity. Pwede siya. Alright? So, super easy to use for formative assessment. So, after your discussion, you can use this Kahoot and then you can see the answer of the students together with the result of the formative assessment. So, here are the cons of this Kahoot. Teacher has to facilitate the session, can walk around and monitor all students at the same time, syempre. And then, ang struggle mo dito is the internet connection. At least dapat talaga malakas yung signal natin para magamit po natin ito. Next one, some students may be said if their name is not in the top 5 groups. Ayan. Ang may hiling mo sa mga bata mo, they need to encode or write their full name kasi may mga bata na naglalagay ng mga nicknames, ang hirap hanapin during yung magre-record ka na. Mahirap talaga yon. So kailangan yung totoong pangalan nila yung nakalagay doon. The next one, students are rewarded for quick answer. It's very easy to use na ikaw na teacher after the evaluation, makikita mo na yung mga bata mo, hindi ka na mag-check. Actually, magpapakita na yung scores ng estudyante natin at pwede na nating ilipat doon sa ating Google Classroom class records or even in a Microsoft Teams online class records. So, pwede na po siyang ilipat actually yung mga scores. Okay? Next one. To join quiz, okay, ito naman, the students will browse https kahoot.it. Alright? For the teachers, you need to create your own quiz that is in the www.getkahoot.com. Alright? So, kahoot.it, that is intended for your students, and www.getkahoot.com, that is your own account. Okay? So, you need to sign up to have an account na magkakapag-practice ka na doon. Alright? You should give the code. Actually, don't forget that. Now, here is the sample Microsoft Teams online class record that I'm using at the National University. Actually, ginamit ko rin po siya doon sa Department of Education kasi medyo mas mabilis pong mag-compute, okay, ng mga grades. Kasi kapag nabasa mo na yung mga sagot ng mga bata, ayan, for example, 8 yung nakuha ng mga bata, makikita rin ng mga bata yung score nila. Okay? So, mas mabilis po siya instead of checking their work, yung through pencil or ball pen. Next one, ito pa yung ginagamit ko, yung sample class record ko doon sa National University and sa Department of Education, yung Google Classroom is very common to us. Pwede nating gamitin. Kahit modular learning modality ka, kung may organize kang ganyan, pwede mong ipakita at ipasilip sa mga estudyante mong naka-online. Okay? Pwede mo siyang i-picturean, screenshot, and then isasend mo yung mga bata. Yung kung okay yung mga scores nila. Makikita mo kasi nila intact yung mga scores nila, makikita na nila yon. Right? From activity 1, activity 2, activity 3, and so on. And then also the final midterm examination and the requirements output. Ayan. So, napaka-organized po itong online class record na to. So, I really recommend Microsoft Teams online class record, and also the Google Classroom class record. Okay? Before I end this session, I would like to thank the APAETI organization for giving me the opportunity to be one of the speakers, same as my family and friends, my DepEd and National University family, for their unending support. I will end this webinar with this quotation from George Couros. Technology will never replace great teachers, but in their hands, it is transformational. Thank you very much for listening and have a blessed day ahead of us.